inside of you means being above normal, understanding your worth, and being confident in knowing who you are. But the first person who has to realize that there's a greater you on the inside of you is you. In life, we all go through stages of the good, the bad, and the ugly, which leads us to our purpose and promise. UTCM is a platform where you get to share your story and your truth of unmasking moments that allows you to embrace all stages in your life. UTCM looks forward to many people being able to unmask, uncover, and unveil themselves on the podcast. Thank you for watching and joining us. Hey, hey, hey. Whoo! It is UTCM. Another episode, season 6, episode 5. This is different for me. I decided to do something different. I took my therapist up on a challenge that she had given me, and it was very challenging, I must say. I did things the complete opposite of what I usually do, which is a little uncomfortable for me, but I'm here. I don't know who will join, but they'll be able to watch later, whoever doesn't join. So yeah, hey. So the whole me trying to prepare for this episode, I said, you know what? I need some theme music. And lately a lot of songs have just kind of been dropping in my spirit. And they've been very meaningful to, I believe, to push me forward, right? Like there's just been some music is therapy. It is very therapeutic. It allows you, it allows freeing of your spirit, right? It just allows you to go into like another space, another head space, right? Certain music it's like medicine too as well. Between dancing and music, it's been getting me through. So I'm super excited about this episode because I really decided to make a decision like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to continue to launch ugly, is what my therapist said to me in not my last therapy session, but my therapy session before last. We spoke about the launching ugly process of this journey, right? This entrepreneurial journey, right? This journey that I have just been on now for 6 years. And it is, it's different. It's different. I am in a different season of the journey now. There's, more uncovering, more unveiling, more peeling back some different layers, right? That I didn't even know, that I never even acknowledged before. So, yeah. So I'm here, y'all. We going, I'm gonna get into, a little bit about what this episode is about. The title, I have it as Beyond the Perfect Image, Grace Over Pressure. Yeah, grace over pressure. So before I get into it, I've been doing this new thing. Now let me just make sure. So before I start talking and all that, well, I already started talking. Can y'all, whoever is watching, I see people watching. Hey, thank you for logging on and joining and watching the live. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me clearly and there's like no like crazy feedback in the back. Been having some technical difficulties. Right, and I'm gonna talk about that too in tonight's episode. Yeah, so you can give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, like an emoji, but just let me know that you can hear me and you don't hear no feedback or anything like that. I don't want to I don't want to really continue on if it's like crazy background noise in the back, because that can be a little annoying when you're trying to listen to what somebody is saying. So my peoples who watching, thumbs up. Let me know you can hear me with no feedback. You can hear me with no feedback. Brother Spank, yeah, bro. Hey, my brother. I love you so much. You know what? The crazy thing is, I was just thinking, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I really been kind of envisioning my studio and what my studio is going to look like. And I really would love to have a DJ too, as well, when my episodes are going on. So yeah, I don't know. Nothing is impossible. I am learning that for real. So even though, I may think that it's impossible. Oh, nothing. Yeah, no, it's not impossible. Anything can happen. So yeah, I definitely, I want a DJ. And my brother, I want my brother Spank. Speedy recovery, brother. Well, not speedy recovery. You know what? I notice when you say speedy recovery to people, like it's like kind of at least I feel like it's like rushing you for in your healing journey. Take your time and follow doctor's orders, right? But praying for your strength, your endurance, during your healing process. I love you for real. All right. So I've been doing icebreakers, to kind of like ease the mood a little bit, get rid of the jitters, right? Yes, I've been doing this for 6 years, but I still get butterflies in my stomach. I still be a little nervous. And that's okay. But what I've noticed that when I do like this icebreaker, especially when it's like dealing with music, it really helps me. So I did it with my aunt Kia, who was on my podcast last month, April, and it was called Soundtrack Check, right? What song describes how I'm feeling today? Right. And this is crazy because literally I heard the song immediately when I started to jot down some like talking points for tonight episode, which was not too long ago. Literally, it was probably like an hour ago. And the song literally dropped in my spirit. It just reminds me of like, no matter how ugly the journey gets, no matter how ugly I feel that it's getting, or how uncomfortable it is, or how uncertain it is, like there's no stopping. You didn't come too far, Naisha. I'm talking to myself. Naisha, you didn't come too far to stop in your journey now, right? So I just want to play this song so I could, get rid of the jitters a little bit. But I think this song is going to it's gonna help somebody else too. All right, so hold on. I hope y'all can hear it. All right, here's the song, How I'm Feeling Today. It's low. Oh wait, let me make my disclaimer. Facebook and YouTube, I do not own the rights to this song, so please don't cancel my video or remove my video. I do not own the rights to this song, but somebody needs to hear this song, and we're gonna listen to it. All right, y'all ready? Here go my song of How I Feel Today. Hey. Ain't no stopping me now. Hey. Ain't no stopping us now. We got to do. Ain't no stopping us now. I'm on the move. Hey. Ain't no stopping us now. We got to do. There's been so many things that held us down. Hey, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. Yeah, that's my song, y'all. That's my song. That's my song. That's my song. And it kind of just speaks to my journey, right? I mentioned that, in my last therapy session, I talked to my therapist about, well, she mentioned to me launching ugly, and she was very transparent, and she shared some things with me about, her journey and the journey that she's on. It was really like, it was truly an unmasking moment, but it was exactly what I needed. Because I feel like right now where I am in this journey, like I feel like I should be so much further than where I really am. But that's me, right? And it's my mind is trying to tell me that I'm supposed to be much further than where I am. But when I really sit down and reflect, I've come a long way, right? And there's just some things that I have to. My husband, I can't remember how he said it to me. He said it to me this morning when we were talking, but then he also said it to me last week too, because if I could be really honest, right? It's not that I have not, it's not that I don't want to do the podcast anymore. It's just that I feel like it should be at a higher standard, right? And when I say higher standard, I'm thinking more like aesthetically, right? Like it should be a little bit more different. Like I don't necessarily feel like I see the growth in, not within me, but within like what it looks like, right? In totality, right? So, like how I envisioned it, right? Like I've been speaking about a podcast studio for, I believe, almost now the past like at least 3 years, right? Like that has been my goal, wanting to be in my own podcast studio. Right. So, and then even with, the sound issues that I've been having lately, like on some of my episodes, especially for this season, right, is really kind of been put in a real bad, it put me in a bad space of saying like, you know what, maybe I should just like do away with it and not do it anymore, right? Until I'm able to get the things that's necessary. But would that really help? Would that really help, Naisha? Because I don't want to stop doing this, right? So, and my husband, he was saying like, you got to start from the bottom in order to get to the top, which I understand that, right? It is very true, but that's just, it's internal things that that I am actually like dealing with, right? So last week I was supposed to get on, right? Like I'm supposed to do this every other Thursday, right? And there were seasons that I had people that will hold me accountable to that, right? Like I had started, when I initially started, I only started, it was one episode a month, right? Um then season 2, I think I still was doing one episode a month. Then I'm like, okay, season 3, like come on, you need to step it up a little bit. Like it doesn't hurt to do 2 episodes, right, in a month. So it was supposed to be, no, not season 3. I think that was season 4. I started that. So it was supposed to be every other Thursday I do a podcast episode, right? So every second Thursday and every fourth Thursday of the month, supposed to do a podcast episode. And I'm just, when I really sat down and was honest with myself, I really have not done that. I haven't been great at doing that. Now, I would say like between season 4 and season 5, the reason why I wasn't doing the every other week episode, especially if it had to be a solo episode, because it was more so of being fearful. What I can say is I don't necessarily feel that fear of having to get on the camera, right? Like I don't feel like that, oh, what if I freeze, or what if I don't know what to say, right? Like I haven't necessarily been feeling that. Like now it's been the more pressure on myself of like, it just doesn't seem like it should be where it's supposed to be. And I'm grateful, right? Because I'm celebrating at least that small win, that I'm no longer really, and I think what's helping me not be so fearful with, getting on live and being in front of, the camera anymore is because I'm doing it more often, right? Like I'm doing, if you're a part of my Wellness Wednesday community, if you're my friend on Facebook, you see that I post Wellness Wednesday videos, and it's my Wellness Wednesday diary, right? And kind of just like what my Wellness Wednesday, what I send out, what it speaks to me. So I know like the mind is like a muscle, right? So like I believe now I'm understanding that I'm training myself, right, to not be fearful of stepping up, right? Not being fearful of, you know, saying what I'm thinking, saying what I'm feeling, right? Like that's what it is. It's you speaking to what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what this meant to you, right? So it's more personal. Even with unmasking is just it's on a personal level, right? So I think this is why tonight's episode is so befitting, right? Because it really just speaks to about how I feel like it's supposed to be like this perfect image, right? Even with, podcasts that I see on YouTube, right? I am a podcast watcher of other podcasters, right? And sometimes that comparison can just kill all dreams. I remember watching a podcast, Crystal Renee Hazlitt, Keep It Positive, Sweetie, her podcast, and also just seeing her growth, right? But she had did a podcast where she had her team like asking her questions, and she was speaking to it, and she had mentioned about how she didn't start here, right? Like she didn't start in this big studio and this big space with a team and all that stuff. Like she started with doing it by herself with her tripod, right, and her iPhone. And so it reminded me of like, Naisha, it's okay that, like, who time clock are you on? Are you on your own time clock, or are you on God's time clock? So I have to continue to remind myself. And I think that was the push that I got today, right? So going back to what I was talking about last week, because last week I really should have did a podcast episode and I talked myself out of it. Clearly. Yeah, I definitely talked myself out of it because I'm like, yeah, you know what? I didn't put nothing out there. The people won't know. Yeah, but I understand, and I believe that it's no longer about anybody else holding me accountable. This is my journey. This is my walk. And I get to decide how I'm going to show up, how I'm going to move forward, how I'm going to do this. So I am making a promise and a commitment to myself, but I'm making it publicly, right? That no matter what, no matter how unprepared, ooh, it almost made me like, it made me a little teary eyed. Because no matter how unprepared I feel, no matter how uncertain I feel, no matter how much I feel that the podcast space should look a particular way, I'm still going to show up every other Thursday. I'm making a commitment to myself, and I'm making that commitment publicly. And if anybody in my community wants to also hold me to it and hold me accountable, Like I understand in totality, like, yes, I definitely am making a commitment to myself. And yes, I'm going to hold myself accountable. But I also know the importance of leaning on community and needing community. Right. So I could appreciate, you know what I'm saying, on that second Thursday, getting a text message like, yeah, you ready? You ready? Yes, I'm ready. Um, so yeah, if somebody wants to within my community, if somebody want to give me that tush push every second Thursday and every fourth Thursday, yeah, I appreciate you. So yeah, so I think I mentioned also, I mentioned it a lot. My therapist had mentioned to me launching ugly. When she said that to me, um, I almost just couldn't hold it together because it spoke to exactly where I am, right? Like, I don't, all the tech stuff, like, I don't know how to do any of that stuff, right? It's not my specialty, right? Nor am I really able to have like a tech person and, get all the necessarily things that are needed, right? So in my head, I'm just like, okay, stop until you are able to do that. But that means you're stopping in the middle of your process, Naisha. You can't do that, right? So, when she said continue to launch ugly, that gave me the courage to continue on no matter what it looks like, which is why I just made that commitment declaration just now, for myself. Right. So I have wrote in my journal, oh, I actually wrote the date. I love when I do that. I write the date down when, things come to me as I'm writing in my journal. So on May 5th, I wrote no pressure but grace, no validation but love, no rejection but clarity. And I mentioned that to my therapist in our session that week because it was right after my event that I had on May 2nd, um, which was it was nothing but amazing. God was definitely in the room. He was in the space. There was some healing that happened too as well, with creating a space where people can feel vulnerable enough to unmask, right? Or to come from up underneath their mask, right? By seeing people speak to their lived experiences and what they have lived through and what they go through, right? And what that looks like for them gives other people courage and hope to be able to say, you know what, if they did it, I could do it. Or you know what? I had someone say, because we were talking about there were things like unmasking in marriage, right? And relationships. And, someone had mentioned that, if they had the opportunity to be able to be in a space, um, like the event that they attended, the UTCM event that they attended, they would probably still be married. And I'm like, wow, God, like, that's nobody but you. So UTCM is definitely on the move, right? And it ain't no stopping. It ain't no stopping me now. That is definitely my theme song. Um yeah, Naisha is you, you already in it, girl. Ain't no stopping you now. Right? So I mentioned, right, the grace, the no pressure but grace, right? And like I said, I had wrote down some, just some key things, right? Like I mentioned, the technical issues, which really made me question myself, right? Like, am I qualified to do this? Like, why can't I figure out? Like, it was one episode. Was it the last episode? Yeah, it was last episode with B. everybody was saying like they heard feedback, right? There was really bad feedback. And I'm like, I can't hear it. I don't hear what y'all hearing. She didn't hear what they was hearing, what everybody was hearing. And it wasn't no way for me to fix it. Right. And if anybody really knows me, I am a perfectionist, beyond perfectionist, right? Like I want everything strategically planned out. I want to be able to know how to fix it, make it better. And I couldn't do nothing. I had to relinquish control and just continue to keep moving forward with the episode. But deep down inside, I literally wanted to just shut down my laptop. I'm just keeping it real. I wanted to shut down my laptop. And to even take it a step further, I haven't even went back to listen to the episode, but I'm going to listen to it. I am, because everything that is being created in the now is, I need to appreciate it. Like I need to appreciate what I have now before I can even think about being blessed, with what's to come. That allows me to stay faithful through adversity, right? Which brings me to my point. I am studying Jeremiah right now, right? And I had wrote down, like how my experiences is tying to Jeremiah right now, because Jeremiah, he was discouraged, he was isolated, he was emotionally exhausted, but he always remained faithful. And I'm like, wow, God, like you continue to bring me to, people who I could relate to in the Bible. So Job and now Jeremiah. Right. It's like, there was last year, like God was completely like stripping me of everything, right? Everything of what I thought I knew. Right. And now I'm just in this space of like, even though there's like adversity happening, at least for me, right? This is my experience. I'm speaking about me. Even though there's adversity happening, I understand that I cannot not lean on him. Right. I have to remain faithful, even in the not understanding it all, right? All I keep seeing is somebody has sent me a text message last week. It was actually Charlene. Charlene sent me a text last week and she said, I can't remember exactly what she said, but I do remember she said something along the lines of, you and your entire household would be blessed. Right. And I remember maybe even maybe at the beginning of this year, right? For me, blessed always meant like material things, right? And to name one of the material things is money. Like, oh, so I'm about to be blessed, right? Like automatically equating the blessing to be money. Right? Like, yeah, we about to come into money, like, yeah, elevation is coming in, right? And I did that for a hot second when I read her text message. And then it was kind of like something clicked. Like, wait a second. God is so much bigger than money. How about you about to be blessed with clarity? How about you about to be blessed with love? How about you are going to be blessed with support? But the biggest one, when I was in class, and I was speaking to my apostle, bishopness dad, my spiritual father, he has said being favored. And I was like, wow, being blessed equals being favored. So that has been my I've been holding on to that. Right. So I am definitely unlearning what I thought about God and my journey too as well. right? So, I want to talk about, I want to go back to the no pressure but grace, right? It's almost like pressure says to me, right? So this is me talking to me. This is how I think, this is how I feel. It's you have to get it right every time, right? You can't make mistakes, or everything has to look polished. Wait, Naisha, who says that? Like, I put so much pressure on myself that I realize I'm making myself sick. Like, girl, like, who said everything got to be perfect? Who said everything got to be polished? Like, who said that? You said that, right? But then on the flip side, right? Grace, it allows me to breathe. Whew. It keeps me showing up. But while I'm showing up, it's allowing me to grow while I'm doing what I'm doing. Right. So today, right? I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the part of my episode that my therapist also, or if I didn't mention, I'm mentioning it now. In my therapy session, one of my therapy sessions, my therapist has said that, Naisha, I want you to, on purpose, do something imperfectly. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, that she was like, yeah, that don't sound like it's fun, right? I was like, absolutely not. You know what I'm dealing with already, lady. You already know that I am dealing with, you know what I'm saying, like this perfectionist spirit, right? And I'm triggered by, not having it all together and all that stuff. So, like, why would you ask me to do the complete opposite? So I did it one time, but it wasn't like, it wasn't doing it like on purpose. Like, it wasn't doing things imperfectly on purpose, because things still added up to like me being able to do everything that I usually do. So I really didn't test it. I really didn't test it. But today, I tested it. I did. So I did stuff completely different. Like, usually when I'm talking about, I make sure I have my talking points and everything. Like, now, if I don't know, my supervisor may be watching, but sorry, heart you, love you. I'll make sure that there's stuff that I'll put to the side at work to make sure that I get my podcast episode stuff in order. Like, because I want to make, like, it needs to be done. I need to know what I'm talking about. I want it all together. Yeah, that didn't happen today. I actually made myself not do that. I made myself continue to do what I needed to do at work, right? Getting my job done, getting the things that I needed to get done at work, things that were priority. Like, that's what I needed to do. That's what I needed to focus on at work, right? So I didn't do any podcast stuff at all, right? Which is crazy. Then I'm like, I needed to go food shopping. Going food shopping before the episode? What? Yeah, no, that is not something that I do. When nothing gets done on podcast day, I come straight home, I take a shower, I am ready to rock and roll. I'm coming in here, I'm going over my notes, I'm playing the music, I'm doing all the things, right? Like, because nothing else can get done. Nope. I decided, yep, gonna go to shop right after work. And I'm just like, just as calm, right? And I'm like, I actually wanted to be a little anxious, but I couldn't be, right? So went to shop right, did my little shopping, right, to get dinner, and take it a step further. I'm cooking dinner when I finish this. What? Nothing gets done. I want y'all to understand. Nothing gets done on podcast day, right? Because everything has to line up perfectly how I want it to. So go to shop, right? Then I'm like, okay, like now we like at 5:45. Whew, I'm any other time, I had already showered. I already showered and I'm in my office and I'm waiting, like just waiting to start the live, just waiting for the guests to come on, just waiting. Like, yeah, because nothing else is getting done. Right? No. I am 5:45. And I said, you know what? My sister Jazz, she texted me. We was playing phone tag. She texted me. She like, oh, sis, call me when you get off work. And I was like, you know what? Let me call Jazz. I'm like, I called Jazz and we just chatting it up and we talking. Mind you, on podcast days, I'm bringing y'all in, right? I'm bringing y'all in. I don't talk to people. I can't talk to people because I can't focus. That's too much. That's too much going on. I need to focus on what I'm doing, podcasts and all that stuff. So I'm really testing this not being perfect thing, right? So I don't even have talking points right now. Like I don't have no talking points. I don't have no song. Like I don't have nothing. Me and my sis, we just chatting it up. Chatting it up. So I stay on the phone with her about maybe about 30, 45 minutes, give or take. Right. So now we're at like 6:30, maybe. Because I got on the phone with her, I think like at 6. So we're like at 6:30, maybe 6:45. So we finally get off the phone because she got to her destination. And now, I'm at home or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, okay. I have to go on live at 7:30 and I have nothing written down. I have no talking points. I have nothing. So I brought the food in. Me and Steve, we chatting a little bit. He already know that I'm doing a podcast or whatever the case may be. So then finally, sat down and I was like, all right. It came to me. You're going to talk about the 3 points that you got in your journal. It's in your journal in the front, which goes back to no pressure but grace, no validation but love, no rejection but clarity. And the crazy thing is when I heard that and I wrote it down, I told my therapist I couldn't understand why I was writing that because it really didn't make sense to me. But now it's making perfect sense. Even with her, everything is in alignment. With her telling me to Naisha, I need you purposely to do something imperfect. It ties back to the no pressure, but the grace, right? The no validation, but the love, the no rejection, but the clarity, right? Because even though I was all over the place, like there was no pressure on myself to make sure that I had it done. Like I had to have all the things done. There was no pressure there. There was grace, right? Because the grace is me showing up and me not being all frazzled and feeling crazy right now. Like that's the grace. Then it's the no validation but the love, right? Like I didn't need, and going back to I missed something. I always at least for the past 2 to 3 seasons, I make sure that I send out my flyer to my Wellness Wednesday community just to give them a heads up that episode is coming up. Tune in. It was almost as if it didn't matter to me if no one showed up as long as I did. So that's where that no validation, but the love comes in. Because I know that even though I didn't send out the message to my wellness community, like I know that I'm still loved, right? And maybe no one may tune in while I'm on a live, but that's okay. It's just all making sense. I'm telling y'all, when I wrote that down on May 5th, 2026, it made no sense to me. I could not understand it. I'm like, it makes no sense. But when I heard it, all I heard was just write it. It doesn't have to make sense right now. But now it's making complete sense. right? And then also that no rejection, but that clarity, like I'm not rejected. I'm not rejected because I didn't send the flyer. I'm not rejected because I didn't have all the bullet points down right away. Like there's no rejection, right? I'm not rejected because I didn't send, like I said, I didn't send out the flyer to my Wellness Wednesday community. At the end of the day, whoever's going to tune in is going to tune in, whether they tune in when I'm on the live, whether they tune in and watch it later on, they're going to tune in regardless. So are you not gonna not go do it because you're not able to keep your own schedule? That's a lot of the reason too why I was not showing up to that every other Thursday, because it was like, okay, I didn't have enough time to get myself together. Like sometimes in this journey, like you're not going to be able to have it all figured out. Like you're going to have to be able to just show up with no itinerary, with not knowing. So I believe like what I'm learning with the grace is not an excuse to quit, but it's permission to keep growing, to keep going while growing. I'm going to say that one more time. I'm learning that grace is not an excuse to quit, but it's the permission to keep going while growing. That's for me right there. That's for me. And also like just going back to that no validation, but the love part, right? Validation could become addictive. I've done it. I've done it. I don't do it as much, so that it's still something that I need to work on when it comes to like, okay, let me see how many views I got, or or how many followers I have, right? Or even waiting for my husband to say, "Oh, you did a good job." Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody loves encouragement. You know what I'm saying? Like we actually as humans, you know what I'm saying? Like that's something that we thrive off of. It's a part of the pyramid, like right? Like that belonging, right? So that pyramid, that circle of life, right? So everybody loves encouragement. I know I do, right? But when you look for it to, you only do it because you know that you're going to get that validation, or you're only doing it to get that validation, then that's when you know that it's an issue. And that was me, that validation. And that just stems back from childhood, right? Like if I didn't do it right, if I didn't do it perfect, or if I felt like my mom was upset or whatever the case may be, like I wanted to make sure that I was doing everything perfect because I didn't want, any issues, or right, I wanted to be perfect. But then I also wanted her to say that to me too as well. Right? I wanted my father to validate me. Right? And some years I missed out on that. Right? So now I'm looking for it in other places. Yeah, so it stems back to that addiction, and how sometimes, we only, I think I mentioned this in I don't know, last season or the season before last, just talking about when I was talking about my recovery, being in recovery, right? Like addiction is not just to substances. Like there's so many different things that people could be addicted to. And validation was one of my addictions. But again, it's going back to what I just said, I'm learning that grace is not an excuse to quit, it's permission to keep going while growing. Right? So I believe that, validation, right, when it does become addictive, right, it's like, again, waiting for those numbers, waiting for the applause, right, waiting for people to acknowledge my value, when I already have to know that I am enough. I have to know that in my heart, in my mind. I have to believe it, right? But I believe it goes to, right, when I said that no validation but love. So that love, like, it reminds me that I am worthy, right? Purpose does not need consistent approval, and God's calling does not depend on public opinion. It doesn't. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you, even when I turned on the live and it came on and it has said zero watching, right? And the crazy thing is, like, it keeps changing now too. And I keep saying to myself that the applause, there's a greater applause that's happening right now. Right? Yes, I love my community. I love my support. I love my, the people who I consider my family now, like, right? Like, I love love them down. But it's no longer about that anymore. And it's like, wow, I'm like, I've never thought that I would be able to, like, be okay with saying that. Like, I really am. I'm really okay. Wow. Wow. So I think the reflection is, right, like, there are moments when you may feel unseen, unsupported, or overlooked. But being unseen by people does not mean being unseen by God. And listen, it may be somebody watching that may not, necessarily, have the same belief as me. So whoever you believe in, right? Whatever you believe in, at the end of the day, um, there's a greater calling for you, for me, for us. This unmasking is, yes, God allowed me to birth this, but it's so much bigger than me. And it's not tied to just one gender either. Like, it's not tied to just women. It's tied to men, it's tied to women, it's tied to even children and teenagers, right? Like, there's things that they go through too as well. I can't wait until I have a teenager that is willing and that's open enough to want to speak on the podcast, right? Because there's things, like, as adults that we forget. Like, we get amnesia and forget that we were once them. We were once that age and we went through stuff, right? Like, generations, of course, it's different, but at the end of the day, like, we can speak to those truths. I thought about something. It's crazy. I don't know why I thought about um this morning, because I was thinking about, having, like, I really would love to have a teenager come on a podcast, right, whether male or female, but I want them to be open and willing and want to do it, right? Like, I don't want this, I don't want it to be voluntold, right? Like, I want them to want to do it. But I thought about something that one of the teenagers at my church, Ava, um her mom was actually on my podcast a few seasons ago. But Ava, we were talking about something. This was a while ago too. I think this was maybe like 2 years ago or last year, and I don't know why it came back to my remembrance. But she was talking about, I'm like, this is why kids are so wise. She was like, I don't understand adults. She's so cute, Ava. She was like, I don't understand adults. She's like, they say that, that we're talking like marriage and, and being in relationships and, and how you're supposed to love and all this stuff. And she was like, I just don't understand. She was like, you want us to see like things, of value, like so going to a wedding and seeing, just the love in the room and how people, love each other, two people coming together as one, love each other. She's like, they want to tell us those things, but then they don't even invite us into the space to see what it looks like. So how am I really supposed to know, like, if I want to experience being married, if I'm not allowed to be in the space because I'm a kid? When I say, I was like, she actually had a point. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good, Ava. Like, yes. Why? I did it for my wedding. No kids allowed. It was only my kids. Right? We want them to, know what it looks like, the experience, right? The vows to each other, right? And all that stuff, right? But then we don't even allow them into the space to experience it. She was like, that's just weird. When I say I love her so much. Shout out to my Ava. Shout out to my Ava. I love her so much. Yeah. So, with that being said, I appreciate everyone that decided to rock out with me today. For real. You saw me come up and you was like, you know what? Let me just tune in. So I thank you. I thank everyone who may watch it even afterwards. I thank everyone for the continued support on this journey. There has been so many people that are willing to share their journey. Maybe not necessarily publicly, and that's okay. You have to be willing and want to do this. This is not easy. But people have opened up, you know what I'm saying, to even start their journey, their unmasking journey, right? And what that looks like. Like, I had someone from my job who attended my event on May 2nd for the first time, and she was just like, it was so transformative. She was like, there was so many things that she was able to relate to. And because I did have two men on the panel and we talked about men and mental health, that's what she connected with, because she's in a space of dealing with something right now, right? And it brought so much light to, you know what I'm saying, what she's going through. And she was just saying, we were talking coming into work, we ended up coming into work the other day together, and she was just like, wow, it's just so amazing. She was like, it's just a reminder that we don't have to live bound. Like, we don't have to live on edge. We don't have to live in fear. We don't have to live, like just uptight. Like, we can actually be able to like live life. That's not saying that things are not going to happen. That's not saying that adversity is not going to happen. That's not saying that. However, it is saying that we don't have to continue to live what we have experienced in our past when we make the decision that we no longer want to live that way. So there's things that will have to be done. Like, there's not just you ain't just gonna wake up and say, okay, yep, nope, not dealing with it no more, done. That's that, first of all, that's not reality. That's wrong, right? Like there's work that has to be done in order for you to be able to begin to acknowledge, for you to be able to begin to say, wait a second, this is not right, right? It's going to take some work. So I think like what I want to close out with this episode is to really say, and this is for me, including myself, that purpose does not disappear because pressure showed up. Maybe in this season, right, it's not about you proving yourself. Maybe it's about you trusting yourself enough to keep going. All right, so I don't got nothing else. That's it. And that's all. I love y'all. I thank y'all for y'all support. Yeah, and I'm going, I'm gonna keep showing up. I'm gonna keep showing up. I'm trusting myself enough to keep showing up. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Y'all have a good holiday weekend. It's not gonna be the greatest weekend, but listen, it's gonna be a lot of rain. And it says rain only matters for those who have seed in the ground. So sow your tears so you can reap your harvest and whatever that's going to look like, right? So you can even in the rain, you can still dance and enjoy yourself in the rain. Okay, so don't let nothing stop no show because it's going to rain. All right, it's going to be a little chilly. Put a little hoodie on. You'll be all right. Enjoy yourself. Still enjoy your weekend, right? You deserve it. You deserve it. And eat some cookout food because I think people want to still cook out. Eat some cookout food and definitely eat a good snack. All right, y'all. I love y'all. See y'all later. Later.